Yo, what's up? In the previous video we covered the first 7 high tier classes of soldiers enlisted. Now we're gonna take a look at the remaining ones, and we start with the Flametrooper II, one of those absolutely strongest classes, with one of the absolutely strongest weapons in the game. First of all, how to equip them? Well, give them the best weapon, the best rifle that you can give. Give them the strongest flamethrower. The strongest is usually the advanced one. Advanced means that the first flamethrower has a limited range compared to the second one. As you can see, 18, and here we see 32. And the range is absolutely worth it. The range is absolutely worth it because unlike normal weapons that at least deal some damage in the distance, flamethrowers don't deal any damage at all if you're too far away. So the range is literally the difference between an OP weapon that kills everyone or a weapon that doesn't do anything. Then you obviously give them speed with an axe and some random weapons and grenades. For flavor reasons, I started giving them phosphor grenades, but not only for flavor reasons, it also works out perfectly fine because if you throw a phosphor grenade, enemies start panicking and instantly run away. Because phosphor grenades are very weak after the nerfs and they barely do any damage at all. You can actually survive for more than 5 seconds standing in the phosphor cloud, but reasonably everyone runs away. And while everyone starts panicking and running away, and also visibility gets worse due to the gas in the room, you can rush in and start flaming everyone. So this is the good stuff. You can also use small grenades, but yeah, why use small grenades? You can use phosphor grenades. And give them anti-tank mines so they have something to take out tanks since they don't use normal mines. So this is the equipment. Regarding the perks, we get a very juicy 21 for red. Keep in mind the base stats would be 16, 16, 16. And anything else is just bonus. So you see we get 1 penalty, -1. And then we get +5, +2, so +7. -1 is a bonus of overall +6 points. So what we see here is that first of all we start with vitality additionally. +12 vitality is ridiculously good. It's literally the best starting perk overall in the game. You get 12 life points more. Obviously you want to combine it with +35 additional vitality. And then you have a soldier that has basically 50% more life points than a normal soldier. This is absolutely insane. In role-playing games this would be the barbarian in your squad because no one has as much life. Now, regarding the other red perks, you could start perking it up with more stamina because flametroopers really need to run around. If you already have so much additional life, this yellow survivability perk gets much better because it increases your chance even higher if you have already more life points to begin with. And meaning now that you rarely actually die from damage unless it's ridiculously high damage. Well, whenever you get down or whenever you get just low and survive, you're gonna regenerate all of the life. So yeah, this is really, really good. Also, most of the time, once a flametrooper gets down, you just switch to the other or to another soldier, and then he's gonna regenerate again. So yeah, this combination of these 4 perks is just insane. This is the class where the survivability is by far the strongest in the game. Now, obviously you want also the fast running for him because they are usually very slow, and because they carry around lots of weight. And they absolutely need the running speed in order to quickly get to a point, to not get shot in the meantime, and in order to run around while you're spraying your enemies with fire. Because you never want to be stationary while flaming, you always want to move. A flametrooper that doesn't move is very easy to kill. A flametrooper that runs around is basically impossible to kill, and this is how you get 10 to 20 kills with one flametrooper attack. Now you need to fill up the remaining perks, and here's the thing, you absolutely want the weapon change speed, because you constantly have to switch between your rifle and your flamethrower. And then you have a bunch of perks left for yellow. There's nothing that's actually good for you to take. Taking the normal weapon advantage perks would be a waste, at least focusing on them since you're primarily a flametrooper. So, well, what do you take then? Yeah. I don't recommend taking the additional refueling volume because it's literally A, overpriced as hell. It's absolutely overpriced. And B, you rarely gonna need it because most of the time you're gonna die anyway because you're just gonna spray the enemies really hard and sacrifice your soldier while doing so. And B, it doesn't matter if you get 200 fuel or 225 fuel. It literally doesn't matter. Yeah, so I'd rather just get a little bit of less vertical recoil for your primary rifle, and then just one random point here so your Flametrooper is a better bot, because this is the perk that makes your bots more precise. And then for the remaining green ones, just give him fire extinguishing. This is a no-brainer, I guess, because yes, when you spray around the whole room and run around, you're gonna run through your own flames, and then you want to extinguish yourself. Keep in mind, Flametroopers already have around 50% fire resistance, so they die much slower than normal soldiers. So this means you can actually survive. You can use this as a strategy. You don't have to fear the flames. You know, okay, you're gonna survive for a long time. And when you leave the burning area, you can just extinguish yourself also very quickly. And also a random speed changing perk, which synergizes many situations you're gonna come up with. Also keep in mind that you can, for example, flame the ground, which is very strong, because flaming soldiers is good, yes, but flaming the ground is also great because enemies are it's gonna be hard to escape a room that's flaming. If the area you flamed is huge, they're even with 1.5 seconds time to run over flames until they start burning, they will start burning. Also flaming the ground behind an objective, so the defenders can't get on it. Or if you're a defender, flame the ground in front of the point so the enemies can't get into it. Or even better, if you find enemies spawning, just flame the ground there. If you, for some reason, let's say you're a defender and the attackers just kept the point, and you're still fighting on the point, and then the new attackers already spawned naturally on the point, what you can do is, well, you cannot shoot them because they have a shield. But if you flame the ground underneath them, well, the ground is dealing the damage to them, not you, and these natural shields don't protect from the natural fire on the ground. So this is also what you can do. So yeah, this perk overall really useful. Yeah, this soldier class extremely strong. And the Flametrooper 1 already is really good because you already get all of the vitality stuff, you get already all of these combos. But the Flametrooper 2 just gives you some more points so you can swag it up a little bit better. Next we get a class that's not normally available in the game, but only through events or in the Gaijin store, the Paratroopers. Now they get overall plus 6 additional perk points, meaning they have the same tier as a tier 2 soldier. And how do you play them? Well, you spawn in the air, in the plane, and you mark an area on the map where you want to drop down. And after a bunch of seconds of flying, your paratroopers drop down and then they slowly fall to the ground. And then you can do your shenanigans. So what we want to do is, we want to make sure that they actually survive the drop down. And that they are fast enough to run to the area where they actually want to fight, because most of the time they're gonna drop quite far away from the area. And that they also have, well, some quite a good firepower in addition to their primary weapon. So yeah, also so they can switch between their weapons, because you will have to run around the whole time with your X. You will have to switch between your first and your second weapon that you pick up from the armor crate, and so on. So yeah, the perks are quite simple. You want vitality, you want fast running, so you actually survive, so you actually run quickly to the target area, because you're going to run around quite a lot. And here you can also see the Paratroopers don't require you to activate 6 starting perks in order to unlock the remaining ones. You can just straight up pick any perks you want. Now this is exactly the same way it was before the merge, and you can try it out. Every single Paratrooper squad has this property, which is really good. It's a bit unfair because you don't, as you can see, I only picked 5 perks. Normal soldiers require you to pick 6, but yeah, it's okay overall. Also, depending on which Paratrooper squad, not all of them get the same bonus perks. This squad, for example, got +1 vitality, -1 handling, so a little bonus, little penalty, and then +6 mobility, so they are very fast. Other Paratrooper squads, like the Japanese event squad, just gets +3 vitality, and that's it. So depending on which Paratrooper squad you have, you're gonna have a different distribution, but the perks you want remain the same. You want vitality, of course, and you want fast running because you're gonna land somewhere, you need to quickly get to the point. Also, you want to limit the amount of damage you get while dropping down, because this is gonna be the case quite often. Even if you think you're landing quite well, the game itself creates many situations where your soldiers are landing quite hard, so this perk is absolutely worth it. And minus 60 damage is really gonna make a difference. For the remaining perks, it depends on the weapon you have. If you have a bolt action rifle, just give you the bolt action perks, meaning just maximum bolt action shooting fire rate and the reload speed, because this actually turns your bolt actions into semi-autos regarding speed if you max these two out. But if you have a full auto weapon like this, one with an insane fire rate and also quite high vertical recoil relative to the fire rate, then you obviously want the recoil reduction. So yeah, and of course you want the weapon change speed. And for the remaining perks, just put them anywhere. I put 2 here to make it a bit more likely to survive. Now we go to the vehicle classes, starting with the attack pilots. They are quite simple to build because you want to give them the high impact flying perks like detection range, additional view, and just more survivability. And despite that, well, there's not much else to give them. Regarding the equipment first, well, you already have a backpack, so you get an additional weapon slot automatically once you upgrade it. So you want to give them 2 weapons. You want to give them an axe and a flask, because in case you get shot down and you survive the drop, you're gonna be usually very far away from the action, so you want to quickly get to the action by charging and refilling your stamina. Running around on obscure places of the map also usually is beneficial to dropping some mines against tanks, because, well, if you know the map well, you will be able to drop them on places where no one expects you to have been, because, well, you're a pilot. Also some random grenades. I give them impact grenades because I usually never use them, and of course a med pack. So for the perks, it's quite simple. You have 21 yellow, and you absolutely want the additional enemy detection range, because there's nothing worse than seeing a plane and not being absolutely sure what it is, or getting the indicator too late. So yeah, this is the best perk for them by far. Leaving you with 6 after you paid 15 for this yellow, and these 6 you can perfectly put into this to increase your peripheral vision, which is great. You obviously want 4 in this, but you only get 21. So yeah, this is a bit sad that you can't max this out, because this one is actually more important than this. Having put 6 points here opens up everything else too, so you don't need to think about where else you should put in random points. Now you obviously want additional vitality. You don't really need in this perk, because as long as you're not flying around like a madman, it's not really necessary to endure overloads. And having more vitality in general is better, because it comes up quite often that you get shot by machine guns or heavy machine guns, and they give you a little bit of damage because the distance you're getting hit from is really large. So yes, additional vitality usually means you survive 2 or 3 more hits. So for pilots, this vitality perk, ironically enough, is quite impactful. Also, you want the reduced head swinging maneuver stuff, because there's not much else you would want. Instead, if you wanted to, you could go with the fast running perk, but yeah, you rather have this than the fast running. And this leaves you with 2 more green, and you can put them into one in the parachuter perk, so you survive parachuting or dropping down more likely, and one into extinguishing, because there's nothing else that's much better. Also, I recommend the extinguishing perk. Being quite cheap is, like, if you don't know what to buy, just buy extinguishing perk with green. Like, this is one of the most useful random perks that there is. And for the last red that you get, I recommend additional flight stamina, because you already start with additional flight stamina. Having 14 more gives you plus 35%, meaning your soldier won't just get weak during flights. And yeah, it fits very well that you have 3 left, and you can just combine this wonderfully. So yeah, the numbers work out very well for Attack Pilot 3s. Attack Pilot 1s, as I'm going to show in the next video, are, well, they're a bit more complicated, because you can't just pick the best stuff there. But yeah, this is why you want the highest classes in general. After this, we take a look at the Fighter Pilot. Now the Fighter Pilot 3 is almost the same as the Fighter Pilot 2. So we can take a look at the Fighter Pilot 2 because it's easier and cheaper to get. This is one of the cases where getting the other one isn't that much worth it, since the prices increase quite highly. So yeah, the equipment is the same as for the Attack Pilot, just something against tanks, a good grenade that you can use, and X flask combo and so on, you know the drill. But regarding perks, well, it is a bit different because we have overall less perk points, meaning we have to actually start thinking about where do we put the ones we have, because the numbers aren't that clean. Now we want the same as before. We want the detection range, we want the vitality, and we want the sharp maneuvering. And now is the question, how do we fill up the first 6 points? Because this is where it actually gets hard, since we only have a very limited amount of points overall. Obviously want to put in 2 here, and sadly we cannot put more in because we're out of points there. So we get 2 here, 1 here, and weapon changing speed because you're dual wielding obviously. So you get 3 points, and then you spend 3, then you spend the remaining ones here, and so you fill up your 6 points. Additional flight regeneration is the best thing we can get, because we sadly cannot buy this perk otherwise. Well, in theory, by the way, we could, because we have 2 plus 1, meaning 3, but then we won't get our 6 starting perks, or our 6 spending in the starting perks. And you see the problem? This would be obviously better, but if we don't spend 2 red here in the beginning, we won't get 6. So yeah, this is the problem, and this is also the hardest part of the perking. Where do you do your compromises? So yeah, you just put them in here, and then 1 randomly for parachuting and 1 for extinguishing. So overall, it's all pilots. You want to perk all pilots the same way. And the only difference among the classes and the tiers is, well, where do you get your compromises and where do you want to suffer in terms of not getting the, the better perks. And for the end, we take a look at the hardest class to perk, the tankers. Now what you're going to see now is something that very few, if any at all, people in the world know. So this information is absolutely valuable for you, and it's going to save you a lot of work and hassle, and also going to increase your firepower literally with your tank immensely. So first of all, what about the equipment? Because many people literally don't know how to equip their tankers properly. If you do know, your tankers become absolutely deadly. So the first thing to understand is tank crews are also assaulter crews, because if you have 5 or 6 soldiers in a tank, they are literally as good as an assaulter squad. And especially if you're an attacker and you want to capture objectives, leaving your tank and then just having 5 infantry soldiers that can capture the objective, because you cannot capture inside the tank, is extremely crucial. So you want to keep that in mind. For that purpose, always give them a good weapon, give them a good grenade, and then something randomly to blow up tanks. Since you won't be too mobile with them, you don't need anti-tank mines, but you want to absolutely have something against enemy tanks. And a TNT charge is quite useful for that, because quite often you're gonna duel an enemy tank and he's gonna knock you out, and you're gonna leave your tank, and then you can just run towards the enemy tank and blow him up anyway. Yeah, so because not all tank engagements are from gray zone to gray zone, as the sweat lots are used to, but 50% of my tank engagements are quite close, because I'm usually very aggressive with my tanks. And then comes the secret sauce. You don't want a secondary weapon, because there's something much better. You can give them backpacks, especially large backpacks. This gives you the ability to give them 1 tool and also medkits. And here comes the synergy. Obviously, since they're tankers, they want to repair, and having a toolbox means you can repair a couple of times. So 1 toolbox isn't just 1 repair, it's multiple repairs, and you don't need 2 toolboxes. And for those who don't know, you can put in toolboxes on any kind of soldier, and then you can repair friendly tanks and get experience. Also, having a large backpack means you can fill up the remaining slots with medkits. And this is the best thing, because now you can heal your tankers 3 times. And since tanks constantly get shot and constantly your tankers take a little bit of damage, being able to heal them is really, really valuable. I'm constantly healing my tankers if you see my full games, because they constantly get shot, but they survive. And then I heal them, and then they survive much, much more than they usually would. So this is insanely good. Also, once you leave your crew, you can literally heal yourself up once they've taken damage outside. And if they get downed, you have a medkit to heal yourself up to survive. And then you have another medkit to get additional life. Because once you got downed and you heal yourself, you revive yourself with only a little bit of life points. So yeah, this combo is ridiculously good. It's absolutely good. And regarding the perks, here comes the literal secret sauce, because we get access to a huge amount of perk points. A huge amount of perk points, +9 overall, because they're tanker trees. As you can see here in your squad list, depending on where your soldier is placed, he gets a different task to do in the tank. The first soldier is the commander, then you get the gunner, the driver, the loader and machine gunner. Now, sometimes the sixth position is called radio operator. And here's the thing, depending on where he sits, he obviously needs other perks, because a gunner can get some gunner perks, a loader can get loader perks, and the driver can get driver perks. And the remaining soldiers, well, what do they get? And here's the thing, you want to optimize the perks that you give your soldiers, the 3 main soldiers, and also the remaining ones. And here's how you do it. As you can see, they have some very strange, redundant names. Reason for that is I named them through the parents. You can just go to parents and then change the name of a soldier. I gave them names depending on how they are perked. So whenever I see a soldier in my tank, or whenever I leave a tank, I instantly know which perks he has. And these are the German names. For the Americans, I have the American names, and you can see this one has gunner, extinguisher, repair perks. The commander is perked as a gunner. The gunner is perked as a gunner, obviously. Also gunner, extinguisher, repair perks. The driver is perked as a driver. Also as a loader and extinguisher. And the loader is perked as a loader, repairer. And the machine gunner also loader, repairer. And you can see driver, we have only one. Gunner, we have one, and basically a second exact copy of a gunner, because sitting close, in case your gunner dies, you want an additional gunner with gunner perks. Same thing goes for the loader. In case your loader gets killed, you want an additional soldier with the exact loader skills. So yeah, this is the secret sauce that you want to do. First of all, strategical positioning inside of the tank. And when it comes to the perks themselves, well, first we go to the driver, since this is the unique one. Yeah, it looks complicated because there's a lot of perking to do, and we also get 23 points to spend, which is great. You don't need to think about spending the first 6, because you always, well, there's no vitality, by the way. Because if tankers had vitality, they would be basically better than assaulters in assaulting them, yeah? Because they get a tank and they still get some ridiculous amounts of life. So yeah, they get their penalty on vitality. And since there's literally nothing reasonable to give the tankers, you always want to give them the health regeneration. And then one random stamina regeneration, and you automatically get your 6 points. And then, since there's nothing better to do, health restored by medpack. As you can remember, we have 3 medpacks, so whenever we get damaged, injured, we will always be at full health, basically. It's actually quite hard to kill them despite having only 14 vitality points. Regarding the driver perks, here's the situation. We literally take all the driver perks that they are. We want to give him speed, gear shift speed addition. We want to give them the brake speed and the gear another perk. So you pick basically all the specific driver specific perks, and then you're still left with lots of green points, and you can put them into fire extinguishing, because half the time when your tank survives hard damage, it starts burning. Not half, but around 30-40%. And being able to extinguish it quickly is absolutely worth it, because the normal extinguishing speed is really, really slow. So yeah, this is worth it. Also, it's a very cheap perk. It costs only 1. And then just boarding speed, because there's not really much better, and speed of changing pose. And once again, there's literally not much better to do. We could do repair speed, though our other soldiers also already have the repair speed bonus. And in that case, it's actually good to have a soldier that can quickly switch his positions. Because sometimes, as you can see, you get shot, and then you want to switch your position with your soldier inside of the tank. And while you're switching, because it takes forever, you get shot another time. Especially on low battle ratings where tanks have weak cannons but very fast reload times. And yeah, and then you get basically trapped because then your soldier dies again and you want to switch to the next soldier. And then you get shot again while you're switching. And in order to avoid this problem, you have at least one soldier with the fast switching rate. And for the yellow perks, he gets the loader distribution. He gets the fast loading perk plus 20%. Overall, your tank with 5 crewmen, overall your tank wants to have a 50-50 distribution between fast loading and fast aiming. Fast aiming means you can, it literally just means you're aiming faster. It means that your aiming is more precise with your barrel. Now, if you have only 4 tankers, it's easy to give it 2 tankers this, 2 tankers this. But if you have an uneven number, well, what do you want? You want to have the additional soldier in faster loading, because faster loading is more important than faster aiming. Alright, and then you get just 1 for number of use to repair kit, because there's literally nothing better to use. Well, we could, theoretically, we would want this here, but we can't afford it anymore, it's too expensive. So yeah, we put in 1 here, and 1 for weapon change, because yeah, there's literally nothing better. Weapon change also means that when you have a weapon or you're repairing, you're switching a little bit faster between them. Also between your primary weapon and your X. The gunner is different from the driver in terms of, instead of having faster loading, he gets faster aiming, obviously. Anything else is the same for the yellow and red perks, but for the green perks, as you can see, he's specialized on extinguishing and repairing, whereas the driver is specialized on just extinguishing, not really repairing. Because we don't need to give the driver perks to the gunner, it opens us up to give him the expensive repair perks. So he gets additional repair speed, which is very important because whenever you leave your tank with your crew, you want to switch among the soldiers who has the repair perks so you can repair quickly. Also, he's get the fast extinguishing because, well, most of the time before you can repair, you want to extinguish. So having this type of soldier class or perk class, you can quickly extinguish and then instantly start repairing, which is amazing. And you also get the fast boarding. And for the remaining perks, you just get a bunch of driver perks that you can afford because there's nothing else that's worth it. And having a little bit, well, drivers are usually sitting in a position where they die quite easily. So having a half competent driver is a really welcome bonus. And the same perks you give to your gunner, you want to give to your commander. The commander literally doesn't do anything important or special in the tank. So yeah, having basically a second gunner is like having 2 kidneys. You have 2 kidneys because if one gets down, you still have another one so you can survive. Same thing here. Since your tank crews usually die 1 by 1 against weak weapons, it's very much worth it to have redundant role distributions. And for the end, we take a look at the loader. Now the loader has the task to load very quickly. And this is really much worth it, especially on very slowly loading tanks like the IS tanks from the Soviets, but also some other tanks. And here we see he's got the same yellow distribution as your driver and the same red distribution as every tanker. But the green distribution is a little bit different because he is, well, since he's got to spend 16 green, unlike the drivers or the gunners, he doesn't have as much green left. And what do we do? Well, we just give him 16 for the different loading speed. I'm gonna explain this perk in a couple of seconds. And we're gonna give him some remaining random green perks, meaning the additional repair speed and the faster boarding, because this is exactly 1 point we have left. Now, what does this perk exactly do? Change type of ammo without losing reload. Very simple. let's say you see an enemy tank, or let's say you just spawned your tank, and you automatically have your anti-tank ammunition in the barrel. Now this is good if the first target you see is an enemy tank. But what if you want to blow up infantry instantly after spawning? Well, then you have to switch, but you cannot just switch. You have to shoot the barrel first, and then you have to switch between the two ammunitions, or the three ammunition types you have. Now, this obviously is a problem, because you don't always know which type of ammunition you want. So you really want to have some good anticipation skills for the current situation in the game. But what if you're shooting your anti-tank shell, and you started loading your anti-infantry shell, and then you see in the gray zone an enemy tank approaching. Let's say you finished reloading up to 80%. If you want to change your ammunition type quickly to, oh no, damn it, I have to change to anti-tank shells, well, then you can change the ammunition type, and then the loading starts again from the beginning, and you lost your 80% that you already spent loading. But if you have this perk, you won't lose the time. You can literally switch between any ammunition type you want as long as you're still reloading. And this is extremely strong. This perk is very strong. Overall, in complicated situation, this perk is giving you more speed and a faster reload. But obviously, having both of them is insanely good. Having both of them is insanely good. And here's also the good point. The loader, or more precisely the two loaders you have, automatically give your tank much more speed. So as long as either one of the loaders survives, you still get the additional reload speed, and you also get the additional ammo changing speed. So yeah, this is really good. This is really strong, and having this crew distribution and this perk distribution means your tank crews and your tanks overall will be much more deadly, because they are much faster in terms of how they operate and how they shoot. They're driving much better, and even if you are in a tank duel and you're taking damage and the enemy tank is taking you out, guess what? The one dude wins who is faster at reloading and more precise at aiming, and preferably also more precise at driving away or creating an angle while moving your tank a little bit. All of this gets much faster and stronger with these perks. So yeah, this is all you need to know about tanks. Use this, and I can assure you your tanks are going to be much stronger, especially on low battle rating, where tanks are usually weak. But, well, these perks are going to have even more impact in terms of deciding who's going to win a tank duel. Alright, that's it. Now you know all the important high classes in the game. Next perk video is going to address the entry level classes, so especially new players know how to perk up their first squads. If you like this video and if you learned something, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and let me know what you think about the perks. By the way, I got a couple of questions in the last video. If you're a tanker, this perk doesn't work, so you won't get downed inside of a tank, you just die. That's the thing. Also, some people said this perk doesn't heal to 100%, only to less. Well, I'm gonna ask again about it, but every time I asked or heard helpers talking about it, they said it's healing 100%. So I guess someone just experienced some strange situation in the game. Also keep in mind, if you're doing some tests, not all game mechanics work the same way in the practice mode as in the normal mode, especially not tanks. Tanks are distinct from normal. Tanks in the practice mode are different from tanks in the game. So yeah, many things that work in the practice mode won't work in real games. So yeah, that's important to know. Okay, until next time, goodbye.